Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from the biblicalnutritionist.com. Today, we're going to talk, this is our second in a series of 3 videos about beta-glucans. We're going to talk about what they are, why they're so important to understand if you're concerned about cancer or your immune system. It's not always just cancer we need to be concerned about. It's how do we have a strong immune system? What are the nutrients that God has given us naturally to improve our immune system without overtaxing our immune system? It's very important to understand that balance. Well, today I am interviewing AJ Lanigan again. He is a fantastic scientist. He started out in the pharmaceutical realm and then moved into the science realm and just really helps to put together very good beta-glucan products and how they should be formulated. And also wait till the end of this video because we are going to be giving away more of these books. If you say, Annette, what you're teaching me is interesting, but I just really need more of the meat to the topic, then you want to get a copy of this book. We do have, at the end, I'll tell you how to get this. So we are giving away, he's given us a case of these to give away. And so I'm excited about that. So stay tuned to the end and we'll share with you how you can get a copy of this for yourself. So AJ Lanigan is, and also the author of this book, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but anyway, I'll just show it to you right there. That's the author of this book. They have their names on so many of the research studies, so much of the studies that they helped formulate that are on PubMed. He's going to talk about the number of studies on PubMed. And if you say, Annette, I don't understand PubMed, that's okay. We're going to kind of give you a synopsis of what these studies are about and why this is so important for you to understand. Anyway, so thank you for sharing with us today God's recipe for excellent health. Help you be confident with your health, which is what today's about. Confident in the kitchen, so make sure you're subscribed to watch our cooking videos, and then confident in understanding how much God loves you. For more of that, check out our website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. All right, here's the interview with AJ. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to be meeting here with AJ Lanigan again. And if you didn't catch our previous video, you're so going to want to go back and get that. So today we're going to do kind of a synopsis of what we talked about before. We're going to talk about what is beta-glucan and how does it affect our immune system. So AJ, give us kind of an overview so we can jump deep dive into what we're going to talk about today.
Well, Annette, one of the main things we want to try to get across in regards to the immune system, the immune response, and cancer, gosh, there's so many reams of work that's been done on cancer. What causes it? Is it a bad diet, lack of exercise, stress, toxic chemicals, heavy metals? The list goes on and on. But what about those things have to do with cancer? Because I've been exposed to toxic chemicals and heavy metals and stress and all those things all my life. I don't have cancer. It's not that I've lived so great. It's not that I always eat so good. So it's a little bit more important than that. And I'd like to just kind of zero right in. If you have cancer, it is because your immune system has failed you. And we look at the immune system as being something that is going to constantly surveil, identify, attack, and eliminate things that don't belong there. It could be things coming from the outside, viruses, bacteria, or in the case of cancer, they're coming from the inside. But that doesn't mean that the immune system, that if it's a competent immune response working properly, that it will not recognize those cells early on and again, eliminate them before you're actually diagnosed with cancer. And I'm fortunate in being in that category. The other thing is we brought in to the conversation about cancer, beta-glucan. It is a complex carbohydrate that is designed to enhance, to support, to maintain the healthiest of immune responses. And I think I used the example last week of you need to always brush your teeth. you need to always floss. Even though you have a great diet, even though you get plenty of rest and exercise, if you don't brush and floss properly, you're going to lose your teeth. So
Right.
supporting that immune system is something that you have to do extra. And people don't think about it, may not even know about it. So those are two things that I think folks that saw us in our last visit need to make sure they take away.
All right, great. I appreciate that recap. And that's definitely, that will get most people caught up to speed. Everyone else needs to go back and watch the video. So today we want to talk about, how does it work with cancer? And is it the silver bullet? And I know that's kind of a twofold question. So what are your thoughts on that? How does it work on cancer specifically?
Well, in a lot of my talks and presentations, as you present all the data that's out there in the medical journals and whatnot, people will say, "Well, AJ, are you saying this is a silver bullet?" And I respond, "Well, no." I said, "The Lone Ranger that I used to watch as a kid was the actual last person to properly distribute silver bullets. This is not a silver bullet. This is something that has been researched. I mean, we can go all the way back to the 1940s and bring those breadcrumbs along, and we're talking 196,000 plus studies on PubMed. Now, just a week or so ago, Annette, when we did this presentation, there were 100 less studies.
Oh, wow.
We have on PubMed today. So this is a compound. This is an ingredient that, so many people don't know about, but the top researchers, not only here in America, but in Taiwan and in Japan and in Pakistan and Europe, all over the world, believe me, they are dialed in to the fact that the immune system is keenly important in regards to cancer and many other things. Now, in regards to, again, going back to PubMed, and I would encourage people to become familiar with it, PubMed, and there's a link. They've got studies on there going all the way back to like 1945. So if something is really, really interesting to the scientific community, you will see studies published there. And many times you'll see a short abstract, maybe 250 words, give or take, that'll give you the general idea. In some cases, you have to buy the study, may entail 30, 40, 50 bucks. But again, there's good research there for people, again, as I say, want to get into the tall weeds. So if we dig into cancer and beta-glucan, just since we talked last week, there's another half a dozen studies. So we're looking at well over 12,000 studies in it with this ingredient and cancer, and how we can bring our immune system to a position to where it does its best in surveilling, identifying, attacking, and eliminating those things that don't belong there.
So what you're saying is, just we kind of recap this, make sure I'm unpacking it well, is you're saying the beta-glucan helps do those 1, 2, 3, 4 steps: surveilling, identifying, attacking, and eliminating. So it's helping our body to do it better. And I think last time you mentioned that, if your immune system's working at 30% on a normal day with the plan that you have, the regimen you have, the exercise plan you have, and then we increase it up to 70% just by adding in beta-glucans. Now, you can add beta-glucans in your diet, and I talk about that all the time on the Grocery Discovery videos, so go check out those videos. But what you're talking about is we can actually almost double our immune system response, so that when it comes to surveilling, identifying, attacking, and eliminating, we're not giving it a 30% response to something that comes along and invades our body. We're giving it a 70, up to 70% response. So therefore, like you said, you aren't being diagnosed with cancer like 1 in 2 people your age are, because you are improving your immune system, you're improving your response, and you're being, what I say, just more protective and proactive for your future. So is that a good wrap up of kind of what you were saying?
Yeah, it is. And just like with a lot of the property that you own, whether it's your house, your car, your clothing, there's certain things that you do to help protect it, to preserve it, because you don't want to lose it. You don't want to spend a fortune on something and then have to throw it in the trash can. Well, you don't want to do that with your health as well. And so you have to kind of keep in the front part of your brain, what am I doing or what am I failing to do to make sure that I'm protecting and preserving my good health. And again, anything that you can do, both to take pressure off your immune system by not eating a bunch of garbage, by being overstressed, by not getting enough rest, by not paying attention to the water you drink, the air that you breathe, keeping yourself out of those things that are harmful. You don't want to pile things on. I always use the immune system in the terms of an army. Now, what's a general rule for most that are in the army? Their job is to identify bad guys and blow them up, okay? So imagine your army out there digging a foxhole, getting ready for a battle, and all of a sudden, here comes this dump truck, backing up to the foxhole, dumping all this garbage in there. So just kind of get that picture in your mind. You want your immune system free to do its job. And when that happens, you stay healthy. If you're not healthy, well, again, you need to get the garbage out of there. No doubt about that. We don't say beta-glucan is a replacement for being stupid, okay? But it's certainly something that goes beyond that of the sensible things that you talk about and your work is dedicated to. So definitely understand we're not going to make the immune system do something it's not supposed to do. In other words, we're not going to overstimulate and create problems from that, because herbals, particularly some herbals, are great if you've got a cold coming on.
Right.
You use those herbals for a few days, but you probably wouldn't want to use those particular herbals each and every day, because they are what we refer to as pro-inflammatory. And if you've got inflammation going on and there's not a good reason, well, that's going to cause problems in and of itself. So again, think of your immune system, trillions and trillions of those in the army. So when you use the figure only 30%, you're talking about 30% of trillions of white blood cells, okay? We're going to raise that number by many more trillions. And in fact, doubling of using our material only takes a relatively small dose. A person that weighs 100 pounds and change, a little 100 milligram capsule. You're talking about 50 cents a day to get that kind of dose. Now, a person who is in harm's way, a person who's been diagnosed with cancer, or let's say for myself, I don't have cancer, but if I get on a plane and I'm getting ready to go down and visit Joe and his doctor wife on the coast of South Carolina, they both got COVID. Okay, I'm going to up my dose to make sure that my immune system is all it can be. Now, I can't tell you that I wouldn't come down with COVID, but everything they're doing doesn't seem to work either. But the bottom line is, for years, I get on an airplane and I'm flying to the left coast. Every time I breathe in, I'm breathing in everything that those other 250 people just breathed out. It's just common sense. I want my immune system to be higher, so I'm going to take that higher dose.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and good analogies on that as well. So we kind of honed in on it's increasing our ability for our body to protect against cancer, and also if we have cancer, to help our body to heal from the cancer and to, kind of encapsulate the cancer so our body can then eliminate it. And that's what our immune system was created to do. That's what God created it to do. But what you're now bringing in is, well, yes, but we're exposed to things all over the place. I mean, if I go to the grocery store, which I just went to, we're getting ready to make a bunch of cooking videos for my new book coming out, which I'm excited about. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people there, but I do get it. On the plane, you're in this tin can and all of that air, which I'm excited that they've added a new filtering system since COVID came, which I thought, wow, you could have done that a long time ago. We needed it. But yet, even though other people are doing more things to, quote, protect us, you're doing what's important for yourself to protect yourself. And that is, you are now supplementing, or have been supplementing for many years, with beta-glucan. And because of what you're teaching us, you want your immune system to be stronger. You want it to do all of these steps with more vigor and more intensity. And so the way I teach it is, I want to give my body what it needs when it needs it. And I don't always know when it needs it. So I'm always giving it what it needs ahead of time and then let it decide when it needs it. And I wanted to say, oh, Annette, you didn't realize it, but a few little carcinogens came in, but we kicked them out. And it didn't even interrupt your day. That's how I want my body to respond. So I wanted to say, oh, carcinogen, you're out of here. You're out of here. And don't worry about, we're not going to interrupt Annette's day. She's busy. She's got a lot of people to reach. That's how I see it. So we're going to go now from cancer. Now you just explained the immune system, how I can protect my immune system and not over exaggerate. That's not medical terms, but that's my term. Over exaggerate your immune system. And okay. And we had talked that, you take a supplement, you help create supplements for companies. Is that correct?
That's correct. We do probably the bulk of our work with major universities and teaching hospitals in doing the testing. People say, well, AJ, how do you know all that? Because we test it. But yet this study says, because we test it. We test before, during, after. We test not only in test tubes, but in animals, in humans, do double-blind placebos. We do all the gold standard stuff so that when we speak about something, whether it's the proper dose or what it does, we can really speak with authority. And we back that up with the fact that, okay, go to PubMed and you'll find multiples of studies, not on something like our material, but our material name by name in those particular studies. In fact, one of the reasons why it's important that your folks and the work that you do is, this is not something that's typically reported by the news media. It's not something you're going to find out typically from your family doc. But I wanted to just share a little bit of one of the studies that just got published earlier this year. As I say, the ink is barely wet on, barely dry on it. The aims of this particular study was to evaluate a beta-glucan versus people with gastrointestinal cancer or gastric cancer. What they did was they took a group, several thousand people, split them into two groups. Over 10,000 people they used as what we call the placebo or the control group, where they got their standard of care. And then the other group, which had over 1,200 people in it, they did standard of care plus the glucan. Now, I want to underscore, this is a study that's being done to see whether or not we should describe this not just as your typical food or food extract, which is what it is, but once you purify it, can we actually talk about it like you would talk about a drug? What they found was when they combined the two, standard of care along with the glucan ingredient, they got over an 80% increase in survival rate. Now,
Wow.
I use this as an example because a lot of times you'll see various compounds and ingredients where they did a study back in 1968. They did 3 of them in 1985. They did one more in 1999. And then you hadn't seen anything since. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I want to tell you, the bluer the flame, okay, the hotter the heat. And when you look at the amount of work, the intensity of the work, how many different organizations, again, teaching hospitals, renowned universities, top-notch immunologists, surgeons, the journals, like, for example, the Journal of Anti-Cancer Research as an example. This is a pretty straight arrow that this is something that people should look into, that it would be prudent, again, to eat right, drink the good water, breathe the good. It's prudent to do all of that. But don't ignore brushing your teeth and flossing. Don't ignore there's something else there that can help that immune system and its response so that you can be overall much more healthy.
Right. Now, how many of these studies is your name on? Just curious.
We have several dozen studies, for example, on just comparisons. In all, gosh, we've got one researcher, Dr. Vaslav Vitka, who has over 200 studies just to his name alone.
Wow.
We're looking at someone who's been at the University of Louisville for a couple of years, a couple of decades. Regrettably, he just retired. I flew up there and had dinner with him the early part of this year, and he said, AJ, he said, you're getting on up there in age. Isn't it about time that you just kind of went off and go fishing more? Because you go get some younger people to say, hey, this is some good stuff. You should read about it. You should know about it. I said, no, I enjoy. I said, those 6-hour plane rides are a little tough on my back, but it's, the immune system is not the simplest thing in the world to understand and talk about, but I find it extraordinarily rewarding to be able to leave some little pearl of wisdom with someone to talk about this.
Right. So in our next video, as people are watching this series, we're going to get into more allergies and more childhood issues that kids are dealing with and how beta-glucans can help. But for right now, you've shared with us what you do, why you do it, and how it works. So does it matter which product they take? How do they know? I mean, beta-glucan, I was looking on my shelf and I'm like, oh, that had beta-glucan in it. That has beta-glucan in it. I didn't realize actually any of the products that I currently take have the beta-glucans in it. So is that okay? Just take those? Or is the one that you have helped formulate, is that a better option for people?
I come into contact, as you can appreciate, with a lot of people who distribute my ingredient, not just as a standalone, but let's say married with resveratrol, or married with vitamin C, or married with vitamin D. In other words, there are combinations upon which Dr. Vitka and others have done work and said, okay, beta-glucan will take your immune response here, but if we add a little bit of vitamin D, we can put it right there. If we add vitamin C, we can push it right there. If we add resveratrol, we can. So for the same dose of beta-glucan, adding some of these things, but again, we don't just go and throw a bunch of stuff in a bottle. I call that label candy. People, oh, look, it's got 999 things. I've got things that, come from the third moon of Saturn in this stuff, and it's got to be good. No, most companies don't do any work in regards to testing whether or not these combinations have any benefit. And in fact, if they did, they would find a lot of times you have compounds married together that may actually conflict with one another. So that was one of the main things we wanted to look at. But the question is often asked, well, AJ, if I'm trying to convince my local retail vitamin shop to carry this product, and they've got 23 different beta-glucans there on the shelf, do I have to tell them to throw all those away? I said, no. He said, the more they've got in there, the better, because that store owner is already convinced that there's something to beta-glucan. Now we've got to teach him, and again, we go back to PubMed. I think we've got now 6 or 8 different studies where we actually test side by side and name by name a lot of these products. You may have some in your house, and we say, okay, at this dose, here's how they compare. At this dose, and so that's kind of the, as we say, where the rubber meets the road. And that's doing a side-by-side comparison. You remember companies years ago came out and they were talking about how quickly your car would stop if you were using a particular brand tire?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And so we kind of picked up on that and said, look, it would be good for the public to be able to have a tire test, to be able to say, okay, we've got 2 ingredients here. They both say the same thing in regards to the general information, but when you put the rubber on the road, which one does the best job? And so there's easily a half a dozen studies out there where we've tested hundreds of other, not just other glucans, but other vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, probiotics. Every time our ingredient was far exceeding. But the other thing we asked was, again, well, what if we added vitamin C? What if we added D? In other words, could we get some true synergism? And that's one of the things that you find when you put your ingredients, which you kind of put in your life, your reputation, in the hands of disinterested third parties. See, I had a choice. I could have gone down the road and set up my own lab, hired my own lab techs, and then published my own stuff. I found it much more beneficial, I thought fair and equitable to put it in the hands again of disinterested third parties. And if it had merit, then it would end up in PubMed. So.
Good for you. All right. Well, we need to wrap this up. We have more to come, especially when I talked about the kids and their immune system as well. So I look forward to meeting with you and doing that interview, because that is what all of the parents are looking for, whether it's getting ready to go to school, they just started school, they're already in school, or they are totally in the throes of school. They're looking for ways to improve the child's immune system. And so, okay, so you mentioned specific products. Now, the products that you have helped put together is a beta-glucan 100 and a beta-glucan 500. And that probably needs to be its own video on its own. Which one is best? When do you take which one?
Well, again, we like to ask a person, and you can't imagine how many I talk to on the phone on a weekly basis. The first thing I ask is, are you healthy? Now, a lot of times if somebody's got stage 3 or 4, well, right out of the box, I don't ask them that question. But if somebody says, I heard about or I saw or what, then I said, well, let me ask you something. What would you, are you typically a healthy person? If the answer is yes, then we talk about our low dose product. And that dose, we refer to it as a 100 milligram, but the actual dosing when we do it in a lab setting is 2 milligrams per kilo of body weight. I'm not going to go through all the mathematics because we're the only country in the world that doesn't use decimals, but basically a kilo is 2.2 pounds. So if I weigh 110 pounds, I can take a single 100 milligram capsule and raise my immune response from that 30% up to around 47, 48, 49%. That's an over a 50% increase in immune response. You think, well, wow, that's not a lot. It's of trillions.
Right.
Trillions. That's a big deal. That's a lot more soldiers that are up there fighting on your behalf. If, again, you're not healthy, and I don't try to prescribe and give prognosis, I just say, look, if you want the most immune response, then we have a 500 milligram, and you would take one of those for every 55 pounds of body weight. Now, that's the one that's going to push you from that, wherever you are, that 30 percentile, let's say, up to the highest level, which again is at 68, 69, 70%. And by the way, there's nothing on the face of the earth, and I can again say this with authority because we tested, that's going to push you past 70 and you live to tell it. There are things that will put you into anaphylactic shock. Okay, you don't want that. But we can safely raise your immune response up to that level. And again, no ill effects whatsoever. I've had people for, 25 plus years using those kinds of doses on a daily basis, and they were able to overcome their challenges. And, I've watched their children and now their grandchildren be born and become adults. It's, like I say, what I do is actually a lot of fun.
It is. It sounds like it. Well, all right. I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this today. I get the joy of sharing with people God's recipe for excellent health. And sometimes that includes extracting the nutrients from what he has given us and putting it in a simple pill to swallow. And many people just want to take a pill. I get that. So they're like, Annette, you tell us to do all these things, but you keep listing, drink good water, exercise, eat healthy, but they just want a pill. Many times we are a quote pill society, and I get that. Yet now I'm saying I would like you to do both. I want you to take the pill, and I want you to take care of yourself as well. Besides, making sure that you are praying and meditating on God's word. Thank you, AJ, for everything you are teaching us. And I know by the time we get through with the third video of this series, people are going to be speaking it before you speak because they're going to get it. And they're going to say, okay, now I know he's going to say this. And then you're going to give them a new nugget. And then they'll apply that to what they go and share with their friends and their friends and their friends. And this is how we help our friends stay healthy, and we help our friends and our young moms stay strong for those little ones because they need it. And what the saddest thing is, with so much going on in everyone's immune system, it's very rare for any child to be born without an anomaly or a problem. But more importantly, cancer doesn't have an age anymore. Yeah. That's really what's really is the saddest thing. Is used to be if you live long enough, you might get cancer. Now you can be born with cancer. It's just it's that prevalent. And so I know that's why these videos are so important to everyone. So thank you for letting me have this time with you and to sit at your desk and just to listen to you and learn again. So I appreciate that. Well, I hope you learned even more about beta-glucans, whether you saw the first video in the series, which I'll link down below. Be sure you are subscribed because our next video is going to be about the immune system in kids. And it is almost school time right now as we're videoing this. And I really want to help parents understand how your kid's immune system works, how we can make it as strong as possible, as AJ keeps referring to. And now also about this book. So you can go to our website. We'll put the link down below. The book is free. The shipping is $3. But we want to just cover our expenses, but you can get the book for free. And then the shipping is $3. And we will ship this out to you. Now, if you are more of a medical professional, so you are a doctor or a nurse practitioner or a dietitian, then be sure and let us know, and we will send you this book. For the rest of you, if you're not a medical professional, and even for those of you who are a medical professional, it's just sleep material. I'm just going to put you to sleep. I love it, but I'm a very much an in-depth person, and I want to know the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, every part of the cell. And so for me, that's the way I like to study. But for most of you, this book is really good because it's going to talk about more than just beta-glucans. It's going to talk about other extracts, even cinnamon or curcumin, all of that. And so this book is excellent. So anyway, so be sure and check out our link down below to the sale page where this is going to be at. And we only have what he's given us. So once that's gone, it's gone. So make sure you put your order in right away. And we will limit the orders to no more than 3 per order, just because we want to make sure everyone gets a copy. Anyway, thank you for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. It is always my joy to share with you and to be a part of your day. Thanks for watching.